Good morning, gang. Aloha. Welcome to Just Talking 24, page 26. Today, I'm going to talk about simple things again. Yeah, I'm simple. What can I say, right? Okay. But I'm talking about the basic unit. We've talked about money, basic unit. Well, this one is the basic unit of communication. That are words. That's what it is, words. Depending upon your language, but every language is broken into parts, and these little parts are called words. They can be just guttural sounds. They can be actually formed, what we consider, words. But actually, the words are they're just sounds, really. And in excuse me, in Hawaii, our words we use a different dialect. Okay, it's based in English. Okay, don't get me wrong. We speak English in Hawaii, but due to the fact that our plantations were multicultural and that the bosses spoke English, and English was the prevailing language of the kingdom at the time. It wasn't Hawaiian because the Hawaiians spoke Hawaiians. But if all money talks, baby, money rules everything, and so English was primarily spoken, and the immigrants that came to America, they had to learn how to speak English, and they spoke it, but they spoke it with the accent and the pronunciations of their cultures. So we get a lot of different types of pronunciations. For one thing, my ancestry, I'm Portuguese, but the local people had trouble with the ch and the s, those in their language, so they call them Portuguese. And it's just their way of saying it, and it's been adopted to be in Hawaii. When you say Portuguese, it's Portuguese. Like in the Midwest, they call them Polacks, and they're Polish people, but they call them Polacks. I guess it's from the time machine or something. I don't know why. Ewoks, Polacks, but a lot of our local terminology, our local dialect, what's called Pidgin English. Sorry, my apologies to the pigeons because they did nothing for it except they dropped it on us. Maybe I don't know. I don't know where the word pigeon came in, but it's used quite extensively. The pigeon, yeah, or mixed dialect. But even on different islands, they speak a different form of pidgin, the different dialect. When I travel to the neighbor islands, I get problems if I go into the more rural areas, and they ask me why am I talking Haole, and Haole just means white man, you know. And I tell them because growing up, that's the language that my mother insisted that we speak. As I told you before, standard American English was the primary language of this household, and that's what you learned to speak, and that's what you spoke. When you're out with your friends, when I'm out with my friends, I'll speak our pidgin. I'll speak pidgin. I mean, I can, Oahu's pidgin. There's a difference, and even on the North Shore, on the other side of the island, they speak a different pidgin, but it is decipherable. You can understand it. But if you watch two local people or two local guys, talking, having a good time, within 10 minutes of the conversation, you'll hear the question, "Hey, what school you at?" Really simple. What high school did you attend? And it's there to establish almost a social economic classification of the person they're speaking to, although they don't deem it that way and they don't explain it that way. Sociologically, that's what it comes out to. I know. See, there I go. I'm speaking Haole again. But that's my audience is geared for the continental 48. I want more people to understand what I'm saying. So therefore, try and speak on a vocabulary and vernacular that I'm kind of used to speaking like this. And that's because I was in my own business. And when you're in your own business, you have to speak professionally. If you spoke like, and I can't do it on command. I can do it like when I talk to my friends, but to just talk to you, there's something in me that's saying, don't do it. You can't do it. So I don't. But when I speak to my customers, when I speak to the the owners of companies, unless they give me the pigeon first, I will speak in this manner. It's not that I'm trying to speak above you or I'm trying to speak below you. I'm just trying for the most effective form of communication so we get the message between the two of us clear. Yes, I'm sorry, but I talk with my hand. That's why a lot of times when I talk to people, I cross my arms and they look at me and I go, yeah, normally this is a, psychological body defense. Yeah. Body language. But for me, I'm Portuguese, so it keeps me in check. And they laugh. I said, no, it's true, really. I mean, I'm serious. When I talk, I talk, my hand gotta go, you know. Like when you're a kid and your mom goes, and you screw up. And they go, you okay? You all right? And then here it comes, how many times I told, Mama, you short of words, ma. You don't appreciate. And every syllable was a hit. Yeah, that kind of talking with your hands, I don't really like. Unless you're a professional boxer, then, okay, we're going to talk with our hands. But yeah, words mean so much. And I find, I like to watch YouTube. You guys know that, right? You guys know I love watching YouTube. And while watching YouTube, I notice a lot of wrong usage of words. See, I have an associate's degree. My toilet paper is an associate's degree in police science, and I had two instructors, two major, and they both were named Robert. But one was we used to call him Bob Slick. His name was Robert Lansing, Bob Lansing, and the other one was Robert Trask, and he was Mister or Professor Trask, Doctor Trask. He had a doctorate. Yeah, really. His doctorate was, I believe, education, but he was the former Attorney General for the territory of Guam prior to instructing us. Very smart man, and he loved the law. Bob Slick, he did more of the actual application of police duties and functions, administration of justice, stuff like that. We had guest instructors come in. One was Captain Sidney Kim Han, who was in charge of the CID unit, and we had Major Kawasaki, who was in charge of traffic unit. But they came in. They were guest speakers. We had Assistant Chief Falk. I remember that was. He was the administration part of police work. I mean, these people were specialized in their areas. But excuse me, Professor Trask was law. He would make us read law, actual law cases. In fact, the required reading, the required textbook, we had to go to the University of Hawaii bookstore because we had to buy them from the law library. And these suckers are expensive. And then with law books, you have used books and you have new books, right? Okay. When it comes to law, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice. If you ever have to buy law books, unless it's a dictionary, buy new. And the reason for that is when you get to reading law, you will be underlining the cases in the book. You'll be using four colors, four color pen: blue, green, red, and black. and each color is going to correspond to something, whether it be the facts of the case, the ruling of the lower court, the ruling of the Supreme Court, the procedures that they use. Each color means something. So when you open your book and you look at a case and you read the case, by this underlining, you know what it pertained to the case. Now, unless you know the person who owned the book before you and he was a great student, don't go by that. And a lot of guys did, and they got it wrong. Because a person, they're going to just be mimics of that person. So I bought brand new. And I went through it. We went through class. And in class, we read the case. And you make sure you check your underlining. And if you don't know for sure what it is, leave it. Because in class, we're going to go over it. Yeah. So that's no problem. And in fact, my cousin who became a lawyer used to borrow my books. Yeah. Because they were recommended for my cousin's law classes. And didn't have to pay, $175, $180 a book because I paid for it already. That was the joke, because tuition at my community college for a semester was only $45. And yet I got almost $200 books. One book. Yeah. But anyway, he was a staunch believer in the word. And he had two words that if you use them, okay, your final grade, for every instance that you used it, you would be deducted 2 points off your final grade. Now, your final test. And the final test amounted for 33% of your grade. Okay. And the way his tests were, I wouldn't say it was impossible to get 100, but really hard. He was a very strict and very disciplined instructor. But I mean, he wasn't uptight kind. You could talk to him if you kept it on that level. You could, and I would talk to him once in a while when I had questions. But his two words that he really hated, I guess he hated it because that's why he deducted points for us. The first one was irregardless. Oh, that ticked him so bad. Irregardless. To this day, I do not use that word. It's regardless. It's not irregardless. It's regardless. Irregardless is a double negative. Okay? So, regardless. The other one was reoccurrence. And they go, why? That's a perfect. In fact, it's in the dictionary. It's been misused so much. It's in the dictionary now. But listen, you can have an occurrence where only one thing happens. If it happens again, that's not a reoccurrence. It's just a recurrence. Yeah, reoccurrence is a double negative too. And those two words, to this day, I don't use. It's recurrence and regardless. They both start with re, because you mean again. Right. So he was very adamant about those two words. And I told my wife about it, and she notices, Another word, so those two words were for him. The rest of the words that I'm going to tell you is for me. And the first word is, and it's a real simple, it's a 3-letter word. That's how simple it is. And the word is ask. Ask me a question. And I've heard policemen use this. And the word is ask. A-S-K, not A-X-E. Yeah, the only thing that those two share is an A. One is ask, to inquire, and the other is axe, which is an implement of cutting. But, I didn't ask you. I didn't, and it's like irregardless, and, yeah, it's just, whew. So ask me. Another one, like I watch YouTube, right? And I watch a lot of, because of my police, I like to watch the police arrests and stuff like that. Because I can't believe how stupid these people are. Damn. But one of the problems that a lot of arrestees have is that they don't understand that resisting, it means if do anything that is not in the order of what the police officer says can be construed as resisting. Okay? They don't figure that one out. The other one is obstruction. They sound familiar but very different. Obstruction means you actually get in the way of something. You obstruct something. And a lot of them, when they get up, arrested, what am I being arrested for? And they say obstruction. I didn't hit nobody. And it not assault, obstruct. People just don't know. They don't understand what words, but they know their rights. Oh, that comes out loud and clear. I know my rights. I want my lawyer here now. Read your rights. Really, really read the rights and understand them. These Miranda rights only give you the right to remain silent during questioning. Now, if they ask you for your ID, that doesn't perceive to the crime. That excuse me, not perceive, pertains. That doesn't pertain to the crime. That pertains to identifying who the hell you are. It's but you're not going to take your time to explain this to everybody because they wouldn't understand it anyway. From the fact that they asked, they came on saying, I know my rights means no sense you explain to this person because this one ain't going to understand. You have the right to remain silent. Shut up. Yeah. STFU. Shut the up. But no, they want to talk. I don't know why. They think that they can argue their case. Already the decision's been made. You in cuffs. You under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, the Miranda rights. That decision has been made already. You under arrest. Don't try and fight your case because that's not where you're going to fight your case. But these people just don't get it. And another word that's used to me a lot. And I see why they use it, but they're totally using the wrong word. And that word is deserve. There was a case in, I believe it was Alabama. And there were 3 kids. And I say kids because they're all under 18. And they broke into a neighbor's house at 4 o'clock in the morning, fully garbed in black and with masks on and guns. They shot their way into the house. According to the reports that I've been seeing, they shot into the house. They went inside to rob the person. But this 84-year-old homeowner, I think he was a vet. But anyway, brother had a bigger gun. And brother shot better because he actually... Because of being a vet, you're in that kind of situation where you know what it is to shoot somebody. These 3 kids, they don't know. They're coming in playing gangster. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, 2 died on the way to the hospital and the 3rd died at the scene. Okay? Now, the parents of these kids are screaming, are demanding that the homeowner be charged with murder. Because according to what I read, because I didn't, there's no recording, or I haven't seen the recording of the mother claiming that all they were doing was robbing the house. That didn't warrant them being shot. No, but shooting into somebody's house and breaking into the house, that's threatening the life of a person. But mom, I guess the kids, where did they learn from it? They learned their lesson from what I hear. From if what the mom says is true, yeah, that's what they were taught. That's the principles and rules they were taught. But she used the word they didn't deserve it, and really, deserve only means is worthy of. And if a person was alive prior to him ending up dead, then he is worthy of death. That's as simple as it gets, folks. If you're alive and someone shoots you and you die, yes, you deserve the death. You are worthy of death because you were alive. You can't get a dead body, shoot it, and expect it doesn't deserve to be killed a second time because it's already dead. You see, I know that's really splitting the hairs, but the words they're using is wrong. The word they're looking for is warranted. Warranted means justified. That's what deserved. They didn't deserve it. It wasn't justified. That's why that piece of paper that the police get, it's called a warrant. Or that piece of paper that says they're going to arrest you, it's called a warrant. All it means is that probable cause has been shown that the apprehension or the search of your property is justified. Now, on that search warrant, it can be a real general one, which rarely goes through. Usually they're looking for a particular thing and they'll put down what they're looking for. If it's a weapon, and say they're looking for a handgun, and they find half a gram of, a gram of coke in a little box, they arrest you for possession of drugs. That's thrown out because the warrant does not specify drugs. And it's not reasonable to believe that a handgun could fit in a box that big. You see, they split. That's law. Law splits hairs. Stuff like that. But yeah, so what word they're looking for is warranted. But they're not going to use those kind of words because I don't know if they don't learn it or they were never taught it. But words our words have meaning. So we've another word or phrase that people overuse and they use it the wrong way is I'm sorry. That's one of my pet peeves is because the word sorry has many meanings, 3 major. The first one means bad. That is a sorry excuse for a car. That's a bad sorry example for a car. That's a POS. So that's just bad. Second one is an offer of condolences or empathy or sympathy. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sorry you had to go through with that. You feel that's a feeling. But the third one and the most frequently used is as an apology. But what is an apology? An apology is something that is given from an offender to the offended person. Now, usually what the apology does, it establishes guilt. The one offering it, he's guilty of doing whatever it is that he did, whether it be verbal or physical or whatever, but he is guilty. He is claiming responsibility for it. That's why you say sorry. Second one, because you've claimed it, it's an implied assumption that you will accept all consequences from it if they're warranted. Okay? Remember, I'm using those words, right? If the action is warranted or the sanctions are warranted, you will accept them as part of the apology. Okay? Number 3, that's number 4, because number 1 was offender to offended. So number 4, and this isn't really necessary, but it's nice to have, and that's remorse. You really don't feel good about doing it, but that's up to you. But there should be remorse. That's why the apology is given. And that's it. That's where I'm sorry ends. Nowhere in that I'm sorry should the expectation nor the assumption that you are absolved from having done it. That's called forgiveness. And that is up to the person that got offended to give to you. You can ask, I'm sorry, can you please forgive me? Okay, you can ask for it. See, we've learned, well, when we're growing up, well, not me, but most of I watch the adults. And so when the kid acts up, what do they do? Say sorry. And that's it. I mean, you've all heard my French's mustard, right? Yeah. I mean, say you're sorry. And I said I'm sorry. But when I went home, I still got licking because there were consequences and it was warranted. I was told not to do something. I did it. That happened. You gotta pay the dues, man. You gotta pay the piper. But parents don't do that now. Parents say you're sorry and it's all forgotten. So the kids learn. Hey, I just gotta say I'm sorry. Like, okay, I do it jokingly, but some people do actually do it serious. In fact, I just did it at my friend's funeral, and I told him, you guys gotta excuse me, apology, and the crowd laughed, and that's what it was for. The purpose of it wasn't to establish that I'm Portuguese. The purpose was to lighten the crowd up, so they accept me more. And I use that as a. I told you I use it as a breaker. I told that to a doctor. Just tell people, oh, sorry, when you screw up, oh, sorry, apology. And they go, oh, and they actually understand, they actually forgive you. It, it, it's like you screwed up, oh, okay, you apology, you don't know any better, you know? And so I told him, hey, you should try. And he looked at me and he goes, scam, I'm apology. And this guy isn't, he's pure Japanese. And I told him, hey, that's even better, yeah, look, this Japanese boy, like be apology. You know? But yeah, it's you depending on what you use words for. I mean, don't be literal all the time. You gotta have the balance. Remember, everything, people, everything in your life, everything in this universe is a balance. It's that third piece. Me, I like threes. I believe in threes. You have good, you have bad, and you have in between. Even the seasons. But I try to explain that to my friend. And my friend goes, no, but get 4 seasons. I said, no, there are really three. What? There's winter. I mean, places where, I mean, not in Hawaii. Hawaii, you only got one. But on the mainland, you have winter, you have summer. He goes, yeah, but you got spring and fall. I said, spring and fall are really the same thing. They're just transitional. One going from cold to hot, one going from hot to cold. But they're both transitional. So they're really the same season, just going the other way. Same road, just going the other way. So that's why it's still three. The three is the balance point. If you're religious and look at the Holy Church, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, tree, the trilogy. The pyramids, tree. That's the strongest structure you get. That and an arc. But yeah, three really important, and balance is what is important. You gotta find a compromise. There is no absolute, absolute positive, absolute negative. Even life and death. Okay, life is the start, death is the ending of our physical existence, and that's gonna come later on, folks. That one's gonna rock you. And yeah, pretty. It's really simple, but it causes you to think, and a lot of people run away from it. But anyway, yeah, words. Pick them carefully, use them. If we can open up effective communication, effective communication, and just be honest with each other. Just treat each other nicely. That's all. Be honest with each other and speak. And don't put hatred in your words. Make your words constructive as possible. If I've offended anybody today, I'm sorry. If you use those terms, and I really am sorry, because the sorry is more condolence. It's not for an apology. It's a condolence because that's the way that's the way our society is. That's why I'm sorry. My feeling of condolence is towards society. But I hope you like what I said. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends. How do you like the sound today? I'm using my condenser mic, and I went up on uh, all the recording levels. But anyway, from me to you, have a great week. Hui ho, malama pono, and as always, aloha. Bye bye. Have a good one.